Right, welcome everybody to another episode of the Love Island Cast. I am one of your hosts, Chris Phelps, and my co-host and very good friend is Mr. Dave Horrocks.
Hey there, Chris. I am so excited to speak to you about this, although I do hate you for getting me involved in this shit show. So it consumes my life around this time. It's like a bell curve of emotions. You know, by the time it gets to the end of Love Island, I've kind of lost interest when they're all actually lovey-dovey. This is what the Love Island's all about, isn't it? So where do you want to start tonight?
Well, let's start with what's been centred around the last couple of days, Dave. Callum and Molly. We sort of got a conclusion, and I'll be honest, Callum is very, very cool, isn't he? I don't know whether he's not very good at showing his emotions, but what he did with Molly is what he'd done with Shauna as well. And obviously by the end of the episode, it was a full-on snog, wasn't it, Dave? But I don't think we could get any more Mancunian. I was even getting to the point where I'm thinking we might need subtitles here because it was just like a whole different dialect.
Chris? I thought at any point now he's going to go, "Oh, you're twisting my melon, man." I was getting ready to punch the air if he did, but no, he didn't. I suppose no one's used that in about 30 years, so. Or 20. Is it 20?
20, Dave. Come on, Dave.
It's a lot of years.
Don't age us that much.
But yeah, I mean, you know what though, Chris? I mean, he's in the doghouse, isn't he? You know, he was coupled up with Shauna. At the end of the day, the producers are absolutely ramping it up at how much she is pining. But I still maintain, as I said yesterday, you know, in hindsight, when you look at it, they weren't a good couple. And the fact that Shauna's coming out and saying, "Oh yeah, if he was right now, you know, I'd want to make it official and I'll never have a go at him again." And it's like, come on, fucking bullshit. You're feeling very vulnerable. We get that. So it is, you know, you're just saying how you feel at that time. But I'm sure with a bit of time and distance, she'll realize that actually she's got a lot of love to give to someone. But Callum just wasn't giving her back what she wanted, so he wasn't a good fit. And so, you know, there's no real mileage. And I'm going to potentially make a villain out of myself here, Chris, because I'm going to defend Callum a little bit. I'll get my tin hat on for this.
This is you defending him, Dave, not me.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dave's opinions are not the formal opinions of this podcast. So how he's gone about it is very wrong. And he is going to cause so much hurt. It is going to be, you know, it's going to be a shit show. But even, for me, you can see it on the screen. He's a different person. He's much more outgoing. And even, I think it was Mike, even the boys can see it. He's a different person. And he's actually very quickly, he's kind of giving Molly all the things that Shauna was saying he wasn't giving her, you know, about being opening up and talking about how he feels and stuff. So I do think they're a better fit. You know, the way he's gone about it is shit, I agree. But, you know, where I'm coming from on this, Chris, so, and you know this firsthand, I'll generally put other people and other people's feelings ahead of my own. Didn't really work out that well for me. So, with the joy of hindsight, right? If it's not right, you might bumble along for a period of time, but the cracks will eventually be too much. And so, I'm not saying what he's done, and the whole snog is, you know, the right thing to do, but they are definitely a better match.
It's funny you should say that, Dave, because I've been feeling the same, and I really don't want to lose you, Dave, on the podcast. So please, if there's anything I've done, please tell me.
Well, it's not you, Chris. It's me.
You're like a little brother to me, Dave. You know, or a
I
big
wonder how
brother.
tall Naz is. I reckon Naz is probably even taller than I am.
Is he? Oh, Dave, don't give me that.
But I mean, so it is interesting though, because like I say, I think Callum has to follow his feelings, and I think visually on the screen you can see he does have a better connection with Molly. Whether it lasts is another thing, but I think I vote for go for the heart. But he's approached it in a very different way to Naz. Who,
Yes.
he sort of said, nothing's going to happen because I want to do it the right way. I want to, explain to Demi before we sort of kiss or anything. I think that was pretty chivalrous, that.
It was, but then in the same sense, he went, I'm not missing her one bit, to be honest. I'm thinking about her, but I'm not missing her. And I'm like, Naz,
So,
please be quiet.
now, do you think, because again, I think it comes across as fairly gentlemanly. I think he's also leaving himself a little bit at risk as well, because if one of the other lads takes a shine to her, and actually does like put his feelings more out there and like actually goes in to close the deal, you know, she might not end up going with Naz. So I think he's left himself vulnerable. But ultimately, Chris, when they all walk in there, and I think honestly, there's only going to be Finn who isn't going to walk in there with someone new. I'll be amazed if the others don't. Is Demi or any of the other girls really going to give a shit that he didn't kiss her? Because he's going to walk in with her.
That's true. No, that's true. Because her assumption will be that he's coupled up. Exactly right. I mean, I don't know. I mean, this episode really centered around the fact that basically all the lads are a bunch of fucking idiots, aren't they? Really, there's no loyalty. There's only Finlay who's got any sort of loyalty, really, and Luke T. And Luke T's only admitted he's done that by default because no one likes him. So they're not coming out of this very well. And it also, girl power. I'm sticking up for the ladies tonight, Dave, because I've got to say that it's no wonder women have trust issues with fucking men. Jesus Christ, because I think Sean said it the best. She said, when we go out and that with the girls and that, I'm not saying it's every single person, man, but like, I really miss them, thinking about them when they're not here and they're out. And it's like, God, what he's doing, is he all right? But when the lads go out, it's like, fuck her, I'm on me out with the lads on the piss. And that's exactly how they're treating him, So I've got to say, Dave, I am definitely with the ladies on this one. The lads are just coming across as so cliched. And when you think about it sort of subjectively, you take a step back, all right, they're not massive couples. They've been together. They do say that 24 hours in there is like a couple of days in real life, but like dog years, really. And I think it's coming home to roost, Dave. I mean, God forbid, imagine that happened in real life. And it was like, you gone away, I've just come back with it. Oh, dear, Dave. Yeah, I would be John Wayne Bobbitt, I'm telling you. But it's a TV show. The one thing I say about Callum, I'm still not convinced he's not playing a game, Dave. I'm still not convinced that he stayed with Shauna because it was a safe bet, thinking, we're coupled up. We're not getting voted. Every time there was a recoupling, they were one of the first ones to sit down. And then, obviously, somebody he's connected with has torn his sort of subconscious, and he's thinking, and it just thinking, oh, my God, I really like this Molly over Shauna, unfortunately. What do we do? And now he's finally gone for it, hasn't he? I mean, quickly moving on from that, Dave, the fucking shark attack again by Mike. He's a fucking classic, Mike. Absolutely unbelievable, isn't he? I mean, he's like fucking Lurpak, Dave. The old smoothness of him. Him and Priscilla make a great couple. And there seems to be a genuine connection where I didn't really see it with Jess, Dave. I'll be honest with you, I didn't. I think he seems quite loved up and touchy-feely with her.
Yeah, and so again, a little bit like the Callum situation, I'm not going to give Mike too hard a time for that specific relationship. The fact that it mirrors what he's done before, makes him look a bit daft. But I do think that is a better couple. And again, we've given him a bit of hard time. I can't think of anyone we haven't given a hard time, to be honest. But at the end of the day, the comedy bit was when he was scrambling around. So when he'd been dumped by Leanne and he was scrambling to stay in the villa, and it was pure comedy. He's not going to. The girls are not going to forget that he said he'd leave the villa for Jess. And then, bit of a trip to Casa Amor, he's going to turn up with someone else. So
Yeah.
but I don't think he had a lot of trust stock anyway, did he? I don't think anyone trusted him in particular. So I don't know. Let's see where this relationship goes. I do think it's a better fit. They don't have the previous baggage, of Mike sort of rejecting Jess to go with Leanne and then sort of chasing her because he needs to stay in the villa. All that is gone. So hopefully, well, not hopefully, he will couple up with Priscilla, won't he? So it'd be interesting to see that if that relationship develops.
Well, I have a little bit of a nickname that I kept thinking of Mike Dave, and this may not work. It's something I've completely made up on the spot here, and it's something I thought about last night, and I was thinking, what could we call him? But I'm calling Mike, Mr. All Inclusive, Dave, because what he is he's the guy, or which is pretty much like me, I suppose, when I go to an all-inclusive buffet when I go on holiday, is you dive in there, you think, oh my God, everything's free. You pick a couple of things up thinking, oh, that's fantastic. Then you turn your head and there's something else to the right. There's a bit of pizza, Dave. There's a burger. There's a chips. And I end up flip-flopping, putting stuff back that I don't really need. And every time you move on, something better comes along. And that's exactly what he's doing. His head is spinning like the fucking poltergeist, Dave, because the amount of turns he's doing is unbelievable. If he was a wrestler, and obviously I'm a wrestling fan, going back to the old school stuff, he'd be turning heel every single time because literally anybody who he takes a fancy to, he's off. I mean, I've never known anything like it. I think it's great TV. However, morally, it's fucking awful, but it's just ridiculous. It is.
Do you mean The Exorcist as opposed to The Poltergeist?
Well, I'm not fucking. You know, I'm a shitbag when it comes to horror movies, Dave. So I'm going
I'm
with the
trying to think,
Poltergeist.
the Poltergeist. Whose head was spinning in the?
I don't know, Dave. Well, probably mine. You know how much of a shitbag I am when it comes to horror movies, Dave. I've never seen that film, so yeah, that's what I meant. That one.
Yeah, it's not one that rolls off the tongue, but
No,
it's
it
not one of
doesn't.
your better ones, Chris. Sometimes you have me in stitches, but okay, I'll get it. And listeners, tell me if I'm wrong, but Mr. All Inclusive, okay.
It wasn't a great description either, to be honest. I forget it. They don't always hit, Dave.
I just think he's Mr. Lover Lover. He's like just fucking. He's not choosy, is he? But
No.
like I say, I'm being kind, but I'm still slightly skeptical. I think basically, if you couple up in Casa Amor, that's it, isn't it? There's no. They don't keep bringing in new people after Casa Amor, do they?
No, they can do. I mean, look at Greg last year, Dave. Last week, he dived
Oh,
in there.
yeah. That's true. They could. But
Yeah.
he's not that daft. I mean, I do feel a bit stupid because you and I talked about this. Was it last week? And I said, "No, Mike's too smart. He's put all his cards down on the table. He knows that it's a game. He's too smart to recouple now." But I think Jess will end up with Ched, though, won't she? So there's not going to be any casualties out of that breakup as such.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, look, it's set all up for tomorrow, Dave. I cannot wait to watch this unravel. It's so bad, I know, but it's just going to be, the resting bitch faces are just going to be horrendous, Dave. Absolutely horrendous. The girls have been so loyal to the partners that they're with. It's not going to go well at all.
Yeah, and actually, it's interesting, isn't it? Because both Shauna and Paige, they're both equally skeptical. They're both like, oh, the boys are probably doing this, and the girls are probably all sexy and stuff, and But I can't think Paige could imagine just how good a boy Finley's being. Now he's probably, fucking tonight, gonna just completely prove us wrong and do something. But because I tell you what, Chris, there is a lot going on, and I think it's a numbers game, isn't it? There's that many people now. There's like 12 in each villa, isn't there?
Yeah.
So there's that much going on. Things like the Naz conversation seems to come out of nowhere, doesn't it? Because, Callum and Molly have had a lot of screen time and stuff from Casa Amor. So there's a lot going on. So I think anything could still happen, with Finley potentially. But, he looks like the one who's going to be faithful and stick with her, and everyone else is going to fucking, the jaws are going to be dropped on the floor, aren't they? Especially Callum. I reckon they might finish on that one tomorrow.
Oh,
And
yeah.
then Friday night we'll see all of the fireworks and blowout. But to be honest, Chris, like last year, I was really shocked when Michael sort of ended up coupling up with Joanna, and then Amber's stood there on her own as Michael walks in with a, that was proper explosive. And before Casa Amor, you believed that these guys had a good chance of going the whole way and winning the thing. But these couples this year, I'm just not. I'm not convinced by any of them, and I'm including the kind of Australian and the US shows that we've watched. At least there you've got some couples that you're kind of rooting for. Even Paige and Finn, I think they'll end up staying together, but I'm not massively convinced by them.
No, I'm with you. There's nobody I'm emotionally invested in, I think, Dave. And I think maybe it could be Love Island fatigue, because we know that most of the time it's the blokes are an absolute shysters, aren't they? And just fucking mess up a relationship pretty quickly. So I'd be interesting to see how it plays out. I mean, look at Michael last year, Dave, of Mike. He was absolutely thrown under the bus for what he did. And quite rightly, I'm not saying that was right. He was a proper snake, wasn't he, in the end? But
he was just a complete dick, wasn't he? In the
yeah,
end,
exactly.
But he went from being all this nice guy, and then he was just a shithouse. I mean, he recoupled, okay, but then he was just a complete prick after that, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He was a proper bell end. So, no, it'd be interesting how it plays out. Now, Dave, we have had a couple of messages from some of our listeners. Now, this one's actually a voicemail, which I'm going to play in the show today. It's from friend of the show, Ed, who is at Brent Love Isle on Twitter, and he's been on the show in the first series of the UK one. And I'll let you have a listen, guys.
All right, lads. Loving Casa Amor at the moment. I think the inevitable is going to be obviously happening with Callum and Shauna, although I think really that Ryan was on the wall for that, because she's obviously been a bit controlling beforehand, and there's not much going on up there, and he's obviously much better suited to Molly. I think it'll still be good TV though, because obviously Shauna's going to have a blow up. But I think even deep down in her heart of hearts, she knows they're probably not best suited, given that she's sort of going after a different type of guy ideally. And I think that just is reflective of the fact that most of the couples on this season aren't really that tight. Like, I don't think it's comparable to Mike and Amber from the previous season. You had couples like that who were really tight going in, and like Tommy and Molly and that sort of thing. Whereas I think all the couples, aren't as tight. Obviously, Paige and Finn look like they're going to be together all the way through now. But other than that, not much there. Cheers, lads. Keep up the good work.
Oh, it's brilliant that. He pretty much nails it, doesn't he? And if you want to drop us a voicemail, you can head over to the Anchor app, and there's a little function on there. You can just drop a voicemail and we'll play it on the show.
Good stuff. Now, Dave, we've had another email, should I say? I keep saying letter, apologies. Our good friend
delivered by a raven.
This one's by our good friend Kayla, who we're going to have to give an award out, Dave, for the most emails in, because absolutely fantastic, absolutely brilliant. So it says, woo, as a Ric Flair fan, Dave, and I appreciate the woo. Callum has given Molly everything Shauna wanted in a matter of minutes. Exactly what you said, Dave. He's reassured her and expressed his feelings. Shauna, sweetie, please crack on with a new guy. I'm not a fan of the new girls. Besides Priscilla, they lack personality. Callum asking if Priscilla is wearing a wig was the funniest moment of the night. We must not be seeing all of Naz and Eva's conversations because they seem so boring. Eva is not into Naz in the slightest. All these chats are just the girls begging for the guys to say they like them. They've yet to actually get to know each other. I'm interested in seeing which guys will bring girls back and realise they don't actually like them. Do you guys think Shauna will leave the villa when Callum brings back Molly? Thank you for that, Kayla. Funny enough, me and you were speaking, Dave, weren't we, before the show tonight? And I actually said to you, I think Shauna will be true to her word. And if Callum actually does ditch her, which he is obviously going to do that, I'd be very surprised that she stays in the villa. I honestly think she's going to go. What about yourself, Dave?
Yeah, I think you might be right, because, I mean, realistically, who else is she going to couple up with?
I know. Honestly, it's strange, isn't it? I'd be amazed. I mean, look, if she wants to stay in there, stay in there. A bit like what happened with Sophie. But she's put her heart and soul into this sort of relationship with Callum. Whether it's right or wrong, she has.
It mirrors last season with Amy and Curtis. So, again, the producers were very clever in the editing. You've got over at Casa Amor, the lads are having a great time with someone. I mean, Curtis, that was a weird left field one, wasn't it? Where he just suddenly developed or declared his undying love for Jordan. And it cuts across to Amy with her rollers in her hair, going on about how much she misses him and loves him and stuff. It's a bit like that, where Shauna's saying, she wants to make it official. And we know what happened to Amy. Obviously, she walked. So I could actually see it that she would walk. But again, just because I think at that point, what has she got to, when she's put herself out there that much, it's going to take a while for her to get over this one, to be honest.
Yeah,
so, and I don't see a recoupling with anyone unless Uncle Mike's there. A comforting cuddle, maybe, but anyone realistically that she's going to couple up with, which would be a shame because I think the show would be poorer without her.
Yeah, it would, to be fair. It would.
Now, Chris, we've had another Apple Podcast review through, and this one is from the US, and it says, all-round great podcast. It's short, funny, and to the point. I know this show is a guilty pleasure. It is for me, but these guys offer real talk about what's going on in the villa. Their insight and comedy makes the show more interesting to watch, and is probably the only reason I'm hanging on to this season. Give it a listen. You won't be disappointed. And that is from Hennessy G. So thank you so much for that. Again, we are catching them, Chris. Slowly but surely, softly, softly, catchy monkey.
You sound more convinced than me, Dave, but yeah. Absolutely brilliant, yeah. Dave. Brilliant.
I think we've got more chance of Mike taking up a life of celibacy. But you got to try, and I appreciate all the people who've taken the time out to do that. It really helps us to get the show out there, help us appear in the search results and everything. So absolutely brilliant. So thank you ever so much.
Oh, thanks again, guys. If you want to contact us at Love Island Cast on Twitter, and as always, get them emails in, guys, the loveislandcast@gmail.com. So big thanks again, Dave, and we'll see everybody tomorrow because I honestly cannot wait to watch Dave on recording because it's going to be fantastic. As a 41-year-old man, my voice is getting higher. What the fuck is the matter with me, Dave?
There's going to be fireworks, and it's going to be fucking great. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.